The first device that we're going to take a look at today is going to be our DoorBird. So the usual how usually we would integrate the device. I'm going to open up I'm going to drag the manual of the DoorBird here, and this is how usual integration with a device would be. You would get the device from the manual, and the manual itself should contain basically all the information that you need in order to integrate it into any third-party application. So if we quickly scroll through the DoorBird manual, we can see the connection settings here, a lot of disclaimers, the manual for the setting up itself, and then below here we can see the API commands. This is where the integration with bOS begins. There is a couple of things that need to be done before we start adding commands into bOS. And for that, I'm just going to open up the web view of the DoorBird. So DoorBird, if you connect to their web user interface, you can connect here to your account. You register it there. You create users and passwords and so on. And the first thing we need to do is when we are going to be integrating the DoorBird into our system, we're going to need to create a new user to the account. To do this, just simply log it into your DoorBird account, go to users and click add, and it will add a new user. And okay, so it's been a little bit too long, so I got disconnected, so I can just log back in. And hopefully this is going to go through. I have okay, yeah, we're in. So we go back to users, and we're just going to add a new user in. So we add a new user, and here you can see DoorBird will create a new username and a new password. And there's one crucial thing that we need to do here, which is we need to enable this API operator. So in order for the DoorBird to receive the commands or the data that we're sending from bOS to the device, we need to enable this API operator. Otherwise, the connection is not going to work. For the cameras and for the other motions, I'm going to enable this, and I'm also going to be enable the access to the relays. So this is going to be the first step that we need to do. And one excellent thing that I'll be showing you later is that we had an example on the website for the DoorBird for, I don't know, a year or so, but like maybe a month or 2 months ago, we completely updated the whole example. So I'll just showing you a little bit of snippet how usually the integration works, and then I'll show you how much easier it is to just use the example that is available to us. So usually you will need to go here, you will need to create the user, you would then go to favorites, and you would then start adding the calls to basically control the device. Here is where you would go to the manual. You would look through okay, I need to do the encryption, I need to do the live video requests, image, open door, motion sensor, lights on, relays, and so on. So I will go to the manual here. I will read through the instruction, and then I would go here and I would add the HTTP calls. So this will be the first step that I would have to do. Then at the next step, once I have the commands ready, I will go to the expert settings, and then I would schedule, I would say basically the time when the DoorBird is listening to those commands. So here I would go, when I would do the, let's say the doorbell, the doorbell here would appear, and I would set the time when the API is listening to, let's say if someone presses the button. This will be basically how you would do it normally. But like I said, a month, maybe or 2 months ago, we completely updated the example. So if you go to our website, and if you go to support, and then if you go to examples, you type in DoorBird, there is an example ready for you. So you go to DoorBird, there is of course a description of the example showing you basically step by step what needs to be done here. And then there's also video. This video is a little bit older, it's going to be also updated, but you would download the example. So then you would go to your configurator, and you would go to devices, and now we're going to import the example, right? So this is the new DoorBird example, and I can open it up. And you can see, okay, we have a couple of things that we're going to be added here. So I'm just going to add it to my devices. And now the DoorBird example has been added in. And you can see that DoorBird example comes with, like most of our examples, they come with, of course, all devices and the drivers preset. It comes with the camera option, and it also comes with a pre-built visualization as well. So as you can see, we have a TCP server running. This is basically the server that's kind of listening to all the commands that are being sent from the DoorBird to my specific port. So this is one thing that we need to know. And then all the commands that are being sent from the DoorBird, they are automatically parsed using the regex parsers here from bOS. So when the device will send DoorBird a doorbell, you can see that we are using the regex for reading out the words. And when it says doorbell, the value of doorbell will go from true to from false to true. Same will go from the motion detector. Same will go for the relay. So this is the TCP server would receive the data that's being sent from the DoorBird. The DoorBird API, on the other hand, is where we send the commands to the DoorBird. So here is where we say, okay, turn on, if someone is at the door, open the door or turn the relay on and so on. And here, if we go to HTTP command config, there's actually just two things that we need to do in order to make the whole integration possible. So the first is, of course, we need to add the IP address of the DoorBird here under the main general of the DoorBird API. So we're just going to add, I'm just going to type in the IP address of the DoorBird. So this is the first thing we need to do. And 193. Oh, okay, I forgot the HTTP 3, like so. Then for the encryption, we'll need the username and password that was provided when we created the user. So that's why when we started at the beginning, we had to create a new user in. So we're going to go to the web view. We're going to go to user, and we're just going to copy the login credentials from our user. So copy the username, then copy the password. Okay, so this thing has been added in. The next thing we need to do is we need to fill out my information from my server. So I need to tell, because now we're going to be sending the commands to DoorBird, for our server. So DoorBird will know where to send the commands. So we're going to type in the IP address of my server, 5. So this is the IP address of my PC, and then we need to type in the TCP server port. So this is this port that we have here set. If you are using any different port, you can feel free to change it here, but then make sure that you also change it here on the TCP server port. So we're gonna go. It's 30,000. Okay, and then once this is set, all we need to do is we need to run this configure command. So if I run this configure command, hopefully you're gonna get in there. Okay, should be okay. And if we look to this configure command, you can see that all this configure command does, it is sending out all of these commands that are here. So we are sending out doorbell, motion, relay, and then schedules. And if we check these commands that we're sending, let's say if we go doorbell, we can see that we are sending out this command. And this command, as you can see, it's favorites action, it's saving an action for the doorbell. And this is exactly what the manual requires. So if we go to the, let's find it here, info request. Here we go. We need to add a favorite here, as you can see. So we get the device IP, favorite, and then action and save, and then we save the parameter. And in this case, we are basically adding the HTTP calls. So we're adding an HTTP call for doorbell, we're adding a HTTP call for motion, relay, and so on. And once those are done, as you can see, they go from top to bottom. When those HTTP calls are set, the next thing we are sending is the schedule. When the DoorBird is listening to these. If you remember, when I showed you favorites, we are filling out this information, and then here we are also filling out the time. So if we look at the command, we can see that we are sending the doorbell here with notify, and then basically the time when the API is listening. And if we look the instructional manual of the device, if we scroll down, as you can see here is the schedule. You can see that the command that we are sending is exactly the one that is from the manual. So we're setting an input, so doorbell parameters. We're setting the time when we're listening to, or when when the device is listening, and we're sending all of these values automatically using the example. So if I go back to my DoorBird web view, and the only thing that I do need to do here is I will have to relog because you can see this is the HTTP calls here are empty. So if I log out, because the web view is not updated automatically here on this side. But if everything went correctly, hopefully it did. If I go to favorites, you can see that now bOS has populated all of these commands for us. Because in the past, you would need to go here and you would need to manually add, okay, doorbell, my IP address with, of course, the port, and then /doorbell. And then the rest would go for the relays. And once these settings are done, I would have to go to the schedule for doorbell, and then for the HTTPS call, do all of this for doorbell, and do the rest for the same thing for the relays. So we go to relays. You can see that bOS has automatically populated all of these values for us. So if you just download the example, read through the instructions, you should be able to integrate the whole device and have it working in less than maybe 5 minutes. So the whole process using the example is extremely, extremely easy to do, especially if you just follow the steps. So at this point now, if we have the DoorBird here ready, although on the website it says it may sync a little, it may take a little bit time to sync. But now if I go and if I press the button, as you can see on the doorbell, we can see that now this doorbell went from false to true. So now if I press it again, you can maybe hear the sound of the birds. That's from the doorbell. But now we can see we have live feedback from the device. And if I send this relay, turn it on, unfortunately, you won't be able to hear it, but I sent the relay option to basically open the door. So in most cases, people would then wire up this relay to in any mechanism that is for the doors, and basically the doors will open. And now using this example that we created, the whole integration process of DoorBird should be much simpler and much easier to integrate. Let me just see if there's I'm just checking if there's some questions in the chat, so hopefully it's all clear out. Like I said, using this new example, the whole process is extremely easy. You just need to create the user, then you can use the login credentials here in the DoorBird API. You would then fill out the my server IP address and the TCP server port, and click configure, and you're more or less ready to go. In a couple of clicks, you should be ready to have the DoorBird configured and running, and you can have then the integration to the project you might be having. The example itself and DoorBirds also come with a little camera attached on it as well. So what you can do in this case, we have camera. We can discover the DoorBird here. I think it's 193. The IP address is going to be filled out. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to set the login credentials for the camera, which is going to be the logins from our user. So copy this, paste them in, and then all you need to do is to hit the configure button. And if everything is correctly, you can see the URLs for the camera has been filled out, and we can now start using the the camera view as well. And like I mentioned, the example itself also comes with the visualization as well. We have the frame here with the camera view, and I could show you the camera image as well, but I have some I get some issues with the version, but the idea is there. The very popular thing that a lot of our clients are doing is they're actually combining the DoorBird device with, let's say, their speakers in the house, because a lot of our clients have in their home or the project, let's say they have either Denon or Sonos speaker. So this is the perfect example of combining two completely different devices each other, and have let's say if someone presses the button on the doorbell, you can have, let's say, Sonos playing, or if you have multiple Sonos, you can group them up and then play a specific doorbell sound. So if you may not hear the doorbell, you can then have it, playing with the speaker as well. So this is also an option that we can do. To do this, it's fairly easy to do. As you can see, we have doorbell. So if someone presses the button, if I press it again, let's see, it still works. There we go. It goes to true. So this is a perfect trigger for us to run, a command to play a sound on the, let's say, Sonos, for instance. So to do this, there are a couple of things I need to do beforehand, right? So on the Sonos application, the way we advise to do it, this is probably the easiest way, is you would go to the music library, and you would add a specific folder, or let's say a song, or not a song, but maybe a doorbell sound. You would add it to a folder, and then you would then add the sound to one of your playlists. The easiest way, the best way to do it is just to create a new playlist. Let's name it doorbell, and then just have this doorbell sound playing. And if I play the sound on the speaker, okay, it's a little bit quiet. I'll boost it so you can hear it. I will the only thing that I'll be doing is I'll be playing the doorbell playlist. And if maybe I don't hear the doorbell, the Sonos will play the sound for me. So we already have a program task in the example that is sending a notification that someone pressed the doorbell. As you can see, the trigger is when the doorbell is true, then send out this event, the doorbell has been pressed, and then put the doorbell back to false. So the thing that we can do is we can go here, let's say in here, and just add a new run function. We can go to my Sonos speaker, and we can play, and we can select this play playlist command. And the only thing we need to do, we need to check the name of my playlist. Let's say this is a doorbell, and just say doorbell. And I click OK. And okay, I think it's best if I put this on the top. And now if I press the button on my doorbell, you can see, you can probably hear this. Hopefully you can hear it on the sound through my mic. The sound from the doorbell came from the Sonos speaker. So press it again. Hopefully you can hear it. I think you should be able to hear it. It's pretty loud. I press the button, and the sound is being played from the Sonos speaker. And one of our clients, a lot of our clients are actually having multiple Sonos speakers, linked together in groups, so you can also group them up and play them. And there's also some additional functionalities that can be added to this specific program task, especially in the case if maybe you have music already playing, right? If you have music already playing, and then there is I think we also have an example where you can, because the Sonos itself has a ton of functions that we can utilize here, is we can use, if we're currently playing a sound, or let's say radio station, we can run the function for remember now playing, which will basically save the current, what we are currently playing. Then we can, play the playlist sound, right? This is all the program task, play the playlists, add a delay for as long as the sound for the doorbell is being played, and then we can hit the resume button, and then Sonos will continue playing from the last station. So I think Johan, one of our say very active clients, has this in their apartment where we have sounds playing or music playing. Someone rings the bell, it pauses, it plays the bell sound, and then it continues back playing. So this is another thing that can be used in this case, especially if you have Sonos. Sonos is very flexible, and it can be integrated this way. All right, so that will be basically for the DoorBird integration. I hope that it was pretty clear on how the integration is done. Like I said, it's even faster and easier with the new example. So feel free to download it from our website and test it out if you have Denon or not Denon, DoorBird. test it out, see if it works for you. If there's any improvements, you can always contact us and we can tweak it more if you have some ideas or improvements on how we can improve it even further. But for the feedback that we got for now, just a couple of settings and the integration is fairly simple.